Blog Talk Radio.
Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports Show, the Red Wings edition. I'm your host, Taylor Phillips, and this week was a bit of a rough one, but in a higher note. The number to call to voice your opinion or to be a guest or a co-host on this episode on my show, 646-478-4837. Again, that number is 646-478-4837. Call in if you want to join in on the conversation. Find me on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and Pinterest as Taylor Phillips. Like my page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page, and join my group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group, to become a more educated Detroit sports fan. And follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at DT2Phillips. There's also a chat window on blogtalkradio.com on all my episodes of Taylor's Detroit Sports Show for you all to comment your opinions on. Guidelines: if you have called in, stay on the line. If you hang up, redial the number and then stay on the line. Keep it clean. Treat the show with respect. I want the feedback as smart as I want it. No stupid gimmicks or anything like that, or anything way off. And if you don't know much about this or any Detroit sports, you can still just listen. And finally, only I can change topics because I'm the head host of the show. Well, let's get on with the weekend review. The Wings were finishing off a home-and-home set with the Minnesota Wild. Last Saturday, they held on to beat Minnesota on the road 3-2. But then on Sunday, the Wings were a little off their performance as they only got 1 point, and after they got back in it and lost 4-3 in overtime. Molson tipped one in past Howard and into the net because of a bad costly turnover. And that kind of set the Wings into a tailspin because the next two games were horribly performed, along with bad officiating, which I have to admit. The Blue Jackets ended up winning Tuesday's game 4-2. And then the Montreal Canadiens came into the Joe and stole a 5-4 regulation victory. One of their goals was given to by the linesman, I guess. By mistake, on a very badly missed offside call. It looked to be 3 inches offside, but Howard still could have made that save to keep it tied at 3, but no. The Canadiens ended up scoring 2 goals to help seal the fate of that game, the fate of the Wings in that game. Maybe, but not as if for the regular season, not to eliminate them from playoff contention. I'll get to the standings just a little bit later. I want to say a little something here. The last two regulation losses were because of horrible defense, especially by Brendan Smith, and the goaltending, of course, by Jimmy Howard, as well as the officiating, to be honest. But just because the officials miss a big penalty call doesn't mean, or a big what would have been a very fair, easy offside call, which they missed, doesn't mean the Wings have to keep complaining at the refs and the linesmen while the puck is in play. See, while the puck was in play, the Wings kept complaining and just stood there like statues, and it cost them a goal and 2 regulation games. And that's what the Wings organization cannot have. But luckily the Wings were still in it because everybody else lost as well. Moving on to tonight's game, which was a big game. Wings at Leafs at Air Canada Centre. Darren Helm scored a hat trick after the Leafs struck first to help set the tone. Darren Helm turned it around and Nyquist got the other goal as the Wings doubled up the Leafs 4-2 in regulation. Helm's hat trick goal on a breakaway was at even strength. Assisted by Danny DeKeyser. Jimmy Howard made 27 saves, and he got the victory. The Wings penalty killing unit was great. They held the Leafs off they held the Leafs power play off down to 0 goals, and an 0-for-4 performance, while the Maple Leafs penalty killing committed 5 penalties and killed them off. So both the power play units cancel each other out. So again, a big win for the Red Wings as they gain 2 points in the standings and hold the Leafs to just 80. The Leafs have now lost 8 straight games. Ouch. What a way to end a rough week on a high note. Because that gives the Wings a bit of a jump, some momentum as they head back home to take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, led by Ben Bishop in goal, who has had the Wings offense's number lately. The Wings won the last meeting, which was no, actually they didn't win the last meeting. Tampa Bay has won all 3 meetings. First off, it was on Saturday, November 9th, 2003, as the Lightning won 3-2 in overtime at the Joe. And then the month after that, on the 10th, December, the Lightning won 3-2 again in a shootout in about 6 rounds, I think. Yeah, it was 6. Tomas Tatar got the only goal of that one in that shootout. 2-1 was the shootout. 3-2 was the game. Oh, wait, that was 2-1. 2-1 was the game. My mistake. It was the Panthers game before that. That was 3-2. And then last month, February 8th, the Lightning doubled up the Wings 4-2 in Tampa. So at the Joe, the Wings need this one. They need to end the month on a high note and get their revenge on the Tampa Bay Lightning here. Because they need to find a way to solve Ben Bitch. Their offense needs to solve Ben Bishop, because he's been stopping most of their shots. On goal. The Lightning beat the Sabres 4-3 in overtime earlier tonight. 4-3 in overtime. Bishop with the inevitable win. Hackett the loss. It was in Buffalo. But the Lightning are supposed to be in for a surprise. Both the Lightning and the Wings have momentum going into tomorrow's game, which begins at 5 o'clock at the Joe on Fox Sports Detroit. It'll be a bit of a matinee game. A late matinee game, so to speak, as we jump to the week ahead. The Red Wings take 2 days off after that. They welcome the Boston Bruins, who are leading the East, the entire Eastern Conference standings, with 108 points. That game will drop its puck at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, and it's going to be on NBCSN on Wednesday rivalry night. Wednesday night rivalry. Then on Friday, the Wings play another home game against the lowly Buffalo Sabres at 7:30 on Fox Sports Detroit Plus. Hopefully the Tigers are playing a night game that day. Then on Saturday, the Wings try to look for revenge against the Canadiens in Montreal at 7 on Fox Sports Detroit, the NHL Network, and CBC. CBC's Hockey Night in Canada. There's a Tigers update, which I'll get to later on, as I just found out. I'd love to surprise you, so that's part of the entertainment. The injury report now down to 6 players, which is good. Pavel Datsyuk should return sometime soon. And Henrik Zetterberg says he wants to return come the postseason. Right now the hopes are high for the Wings as they co-lead the Eastern Conference wild card standings with the Blue Jackets, who also won tonight. 3-2 in overtime over the Carolina Hurricanes. I want to get to something here on the injuries. Jonas Gustafsson is not injured, although most Red Wings fans think he still is. He's still on the roster, but the Red Wings website is saying he's not in the backup lineup, and Jimmy Howard's the only goalie in the lineup with no backup goalie listed. But I'm going to assure you that Gustafsson is not on the injured list either. So I can take a look here. Yeah, there's Jimmy Howard, the only goaltender standing here. I think that Howard should take tomorrow off. Just found out Wisconsin beat Arizona in overtime, 64-63. Because Howard might be tired, and Gustafsson needs to start in goal again. And like I just said, he's not injured. He's still on the roster, and he needs to be put back on the active roster, the active lineup. It says on the roster, Jonas Gustafsson is not on injured reserve. There is no double star beside his name. The double star equals injured reserve, and who is on the injured reserve besides Henrik Zetterberg is Michael Samuelsson, who I don't see listed on the injury report either. Something's a little mixed up on this website here. I'm gonna confront the Red Wings website director after the show is over. But right now I want to get to the standings. So, like I said, the Wings and Jackets are tied with 82 points. The Blue Jackets hold the first wild card spot. The Wings have the second. And the Bruins and Capitals. Bruins beat the Capitals 4-2 earlier today in an early matinee game in D.C. So the Capitals are still stuck at 80 points, and so are the Leafs, the Maple Leafs, who lost 4-2 to the Red Wings at home in Toronto. The New Jersey Devils picked up a point in a shootout loss to the Islanders 2-1. Now have 77 points. The Ottawa Senators and Carolina Hurricanes are still hanging by a thread with 74 points apiece. Carolina picked up a point, and Ottawa, I think, had off. Yeah, the Senators had today off. Let's check tomorrow's NHL schedule. The Senators play at home against the Calgary Flames at 5. And the Washington Capitals visit the Nashville Predators at 8 o'clock. I know as much as it hurts to see Calle Jarnkrok, the former Red Wing prospect and former Calder Cup champion Grand Rapids Griffin, play for the Predators and start his debut in Nashville on a hot streak. We could the Predators, Jarnkrok, and the Red Wings fans could actually use Jarnkrok's magic to help the Predators help the Wings out with a win over the Capitals, especially in regulation. I say that because it does help the most. It really grounds the Capitals in the standings and keeps them stuck at 80 points. The Maple Leafs' next game is not until Tuesday, when they host the Flames. So the Leafs will be stuck at 80 points until at least then. And for Monday, the Senators host the Hurricanes at 7:30. And going back to Tuesday, the Devils visit the Sabres at 7. Hurricanes got a tough one on their hands that night. They're in Pittsburgh against the Penguins, same time, 7 o'clock. The Blue Jackets play at home against the Avalanche, same time at 7. The Capitals welcome the Stars into Verizon Center at 7. And that's about it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to other Detroit sports updates. The Tigers and first baseman Miguel Cabrera have recently agreed to a 10-year, $292 million contract extension. How big is that? Well, normally it is really big. Just one little iffy part of the situation here is that puts the Tigers and the Max Scherzer situation in a much deeper hole. So the pressure is on General Manager Dave Dombrowski to work the magic here, and I think the pressure is on the Tigers to earn and for Scherzer to earn more wins and more money to add to their payroll, and add enough to sign Scherzer to a long-term contract extension as well. Scherzer is still with the Tigers. He's on his last year. He's on the last year of his contract, and if the Tigers have a really excellent first 4 months or so, they might even sign Max Scherzer to a long-term contract extension then. So keep the faith and keep our fingers crossed too. Also, Michigan and Michigan State have moved on to the Elite Eight after last night's victories. Michigan beat Tennessee 74-69, and Michigan State edged Virginia 61-59 after a bad second half. They both had to barely hold on, and now Michigan State will take on UConn at 2:20. Let me try and hurry this up here. The Michigan State-UConn game will be televised on CBS. Same for the Michigan-Kentucky game, which tips off at 5:05, subject to change. The time of each game is subject to change. And I'm really praying that both Michigan and Michigan State moved on to the Final Four, as Wisconsin just did by beating Arizona 64-63 in overtime. Knocked off the #1 seed in the West region in Anaheim. And there's #1 Florida in the South region from Memphis. Michigan State works the East region in New York, while Michigan is in the Midwest region in Indianapolis. Pistons suffer a very bad loss to the 76ers on the road tonight, 123-98. I know they're trying to save their pick, but but this one, that's just not competitive at all, as the Detroit Sports Podcast said about an hour earlier. The Sixers have snapped a 26-game losing streak with that win.
90 seconds.
Time is just about run out here. So, 2 big games for the Wings tomorrow and Wednesday. The Lightning, 5 o'clock at the Joe. Bruins, same place, 7:30. Actually, 8 o'clock on NBCSN. The Lightning game is on Fox Sports Detroit. The Wings just have to keep working as hard as they did tonight. That's going to wrap it up for the Red Wings edition of Taylor's Detroit Sports Show. Stick around. Another episode of the Red Wings edition coming up Saturday at 11. Ta-ta, TTFN, ta-ta for now.